Hey everyone, it's Annette Green with Graphic45, and today I am going to feature the Graphic45 folder and sentiment die set. It comes with this wonderful big file folder die and all these great words and some different versions of hearts and sizes and even some really pretty little flourishes. And just so you can see what I do with my die set is I go ahead and I die cut all those great words out and I put them right on the packaging on the back, and then it's easy for me to identify what the words look like so I can find them easily when I'm looking for the proper die. So what I'm going to show you today are two different cards. We're going to use different wonderful Graphic45 paper collections and a cute little mini album that you can make. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with this very simple card. You can see that it features the Safari Adventure Deluxe Collector's Edition, which means it's the paper collection, the chipboard pack, and the 2 sticker sheets, which is great. So we have used the die to make a card base here, and we have also used the words happy and birthday on the front. So some supplies that you'll need, of course, your papers and the die set. You will need a ruler and a craft knife if you're comfortable with it. If not, scissors will do, and some adhesive. I'm going to use wet for some things and just a tape runner for others. So let's get right into it. So the second card after this sample will look just a little bit different. I want to show you just a little tip of something that we can do here. So what you'll want to do is decide on 2 different main papers that you will see and die cut those using the file folder die and the die set. I picked these in particular. And then also you will need to cut a large piece of paper, and it should be something solid because it's going to be your kind of your card base back here. So I have picked this one. This is Natural Habitat, and the measurement on this is about 9 1/4 by 5 3/4. And the 9 1/4 is a lot extra than what you need, but you kind of want to have that wiggle room. So you will need that. And also on the insides, I have cut 2 more papers, and all of this will make sense. One of them needs to be about 4 3/8 by 5 3/4. And the other one, and I say about because we're going to trim these. This one's like 3 7/8 by the 5 3/4. So those are going to go on the insides. So what we're going to do with our large sheet is we are going to just fold it right in half. No need to score it, just fold it right in half, just kind of burnish it down. And what we want to do here is we want to cut this one with a paper trimmer or your craft knife. I'll just grab the paper trimmer since it's handy. And just find that middle score line there. Once you've cut those pieces, we're going to put this one aside. We are not going to use this on this card in particular. This is where I want to switch it up and use this paper on the inside. So you will be cutting this in half as well, just like I did this one. And we're going to start by getting this one adhered right to our card base, and you see how much extra we have over here. So I'm just going to use a little tape runner adhesive. I'm very generous with adhesive. I like to use a lot because I don't like it when things come up. And what I'm doing here is I'm lining up about somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch of the black showing on the, all the way around this bottom, left, and top. And then you have all this extra over here, which is great. That's what we want. Okay, so before we do any more cutting, what we're going to do now is remember these 2 pieces. We're going to put these inside. Once again, this is all going to make sense. Okay, so this one, I just want to make sure I find my little score line here. It helps to kind of bend the paper like that. And I'm going to get this close to that inside fold line. But mainly I want to line it up top and bottom. And this is okay over here because we're going to cut away quite a bit of that. All right, and over here we have that shorter piece. We're going to do that over here. doing this on the inside is going to give it a really nice clean look. There. Okay. Perfect. All right, so before we do anything else now, we are going to cut this away. So this is where my craft knife comes into play and my ruler. And I am going to, I'm watching the paper edge of the die, and I am moving over that kind of generous 1/8 of an inch, just like we have all the way around. It's almost a quarter, somewhere in between, like 3/16. You could have done an 1/8 all the way around, but this is going to be good. So I'm going to cut straight across. Looks like I need a new blade, perhaps. Okay, and then I'm also going to come into this area right here. We got to cut this. So I'm just going to use this straight edge and do that same cut, about an 1/8, almost 3/16. And I'm not cutting all the way, of course, because I'm just following the shape of the file folder. Now this is where I would go in with my scissors and just kind of follow the shape. There we go. And then over here, do the same thing. If you cut a little far, it's okay. I don't think that'll hurt anything. Okay, and then the last step, I might take the corners and round them. We'll see. We'll wait till the end for that part. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Perfect. And so our other card, when you opened it, you know, it was this file folder. And so when you opened it, it had the zebra on the inside, which I find to be a little bit busy, and I would rather see that same black. So that's why we did what we did here. Okay, so now what we have to do is grab the paper that we want to go on the inside, which is going to be this one, and we're going to adhere that into place and cut around that. And sometimes, you can see how sticky my adhesive is there. Sometimes in these places where it's hard to get, there we go, where it's hard to get your tape runner, I just add a little liquid glue, and sometimes in those little corners I don't want to come up. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to kind of make sure I have equal spacing of the black. Okay, and then this other one, this should work out just fine over here, right? Yep, looks good. Let's get that in there. All right, wonderful. Now we need to cut this, and you can see how this black is going to be great around the edges. Now it's going to have a little more uniform look to it when you close the card. So if you had a nice sharp craft knife, you wouldn't have to do 2 or 3 passes like this. But it's always good to sort of do a couple of light passes rather than one really heavy one. And so you can see now I'm just going to kind of freestyle around the shape of the die. Like that. Okay, cool. So see, I like that, right? With the black, as opposed to that. It's cute, it's all right, but I do like this better. So that's just that extra little step that you have to take there. And just as some finishing touches, I did use a small corner rounder punch to round all my outer corners here. And that inside gap where we saw the other paper showing through, I just took a black Sharpie marker to color that in. That's totally optional for you. All right, so now it's time to decorate our very simple and wonderful card here. And just to be a little different, because we did use both of these cut apart tags on this particular card, we're going to change it up a little bit, and I'll show you a little trick that you can do. Let's say all you have is a very large postcard like this, but you'd love to have just this area. So what I like to do, because we have this great border around the outside edge, is I go ahead and cut off the border from over here, and I save that. Okay, And you can put it back on right now, or you can do it after you trim it. I think I'll go ahead and put it on now because we have this great center line here to line it up with. So this time I'm going to use liquid glue, just a little. And I'm just going to pop that right over here on this left edge. And it's kind of like a, let's see, the straight first of all. It's not quite a 3x4, it's a 4, but it's 2 3/4 when I put this on over here. Okay, and then we can take our craft knife or our scissors and just cut along that left edge where that border strip is. Okay, and then you've got this perfect little journaling card or decoration for the front of your card. So we're going to put that on there. And I also cut a little border strip. This came from Amazing Africa, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yes. And this came from Jungle Expedition, the paper in the collection. So I think I want to put this little border down here at the bottom. This one that I'm holding is actually a vertical border. I think it appears on the paper vertically, but it will go this way on my card. So I'm going to put that down there. Ooh. And then I do have my little chipboard giraffe tag here that I want to work in. So I want to make sure my placement is good. I think that looks good. So just about 1/4 inch up from here. And we'll go back to the tape runner for this. Okay, and then when I put chipboard on, I like to use liquid glue. I have just used a little bit of black twine. You could use ribbon, string, whatever you have already in your stash, tied into a little bow. And we will put that, I think I'll come over here, off to the left. My other card, I had used this one, also very cute. All right, so that goes there. And then I went ahead and I die cut out Hello Friend. And I did use that same natural habitat paper because it's mostly black. But here's a little tip if, like say you wanted that to be less speckled with the little white type and stuff in there, just grab, you know, your ink dauber and a little bit of black ink and just tone down those areas a little bit. You'll see when I show you the next card, I did it with blue ink on the starry background. And just tone down those stars a little bit so it's a little bit easier to read. It's not too busy. So just, I'm not completely covering it, but it did help it to be a little more solid looking. And I've already got adhesive on the back of these before I die cut them. So right now I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna set that there because I'm not sure exactly how I want it just yet. I think maybe a little bit higher with that. So I think we'll sit friend right on this line, this bottom line. And then hello, just above it. Sometimes you do have to work bottom to top to make things work out nicely. And I like it tucked down in here, I think, instead of straight over it. Okay, cool. Looks good. And of course you have the stickers in the collection and you can fussy cut little things. My previous card I had fussy cut this wonderful tropical flower and leaves in the corner. You could do something like that up in here. I kind of want to put some leaves there, but for now we're going to stop there and then we'll just put something on the inside for writing. This tag was from Amazing Africa and it was just a little bit too big to put in here and not have it seen when you close the card. So I just trimmed just enough off. In fact, I think I'm going to trim just a little bit more because I still see it. And all you have to do is get your ink and ink it up pretty heavily so it kind of matches all the way around. And now we can put that in there. So let's do that. I think I'll just put it right in the middle. And again, you have all this space here to add stickers and fussy cuts and chipboard elements. But for now, I'm going to call it done. All right, our next card is this big, cheerful 5x7 card that opens top to bottom, bottom to top. And it features the file folder as a embellishment. And also, I'm going to show you how to make a cute little gift card holder out of the other part of the file folder. All right, so again, I'm going to make a card very similar to this, but just different papers and different sentiments so you can see. But absolutely, we have used the die a lot here. There's that heart element I showed you. There's celebrate there, of course, the file folder, and then happy birthday inside of this one, and our little gift card holder. So let's get started on that one. I think this is my favorite paper in this collection. I just love it. This one is called Ring Around the Rosie. And so that is going to be my card base. And inside I have used the plaid side of Nursery Rhymes. Okay. And I have cut it, since this is a 5x7 card, this measures 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. And I've already adhered that to the inside. So on my cover, like my other card, I am going to use the top of the file folder as a design element. I think I want to go ahead and round these corners. Totally optional. I didn't mention as a supply at the beginning, so not absolutely necessary, but I like the look, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one. Okay, and so this is going to go right smack in the middle. I hate to cover up all that pretty paper, but like that. And I just want to make sure I have selected this sticker and I have it on this piece of sort of release sheet, just because I wanted to get the edges inked before I got started. So I just want to see how big it is. Do I have room for things? And I'm good. So I need to put on this strip. This strip is cut from, I'm looking at my little cheat sheet over here. I do this sometimes. I cut this away from the cover of the paper collection so I can label each paper. Playful Postage. So this is a red and floral strip. So maybe 2 rows of dots. Oh, use the dots as a guide. That's a good idea. Nice and straight, hopefully. Okay, we'll put that there. And then, I think before I do anything more, I want to get my little heart element on here. Okay guys, it's always good to show that we are human and that we make mistakes too. So I was supposed to tell you that I cut this from the die, and then I did that same tracing around on the black so that I could put a little border behind it here. So now we have the issue that our little strip, our border strip here, is already on here. Not a big deal. I am going to mark where I need to cut, and I'm going to cut this and I'm going to get it back on there. So I'm just marking each side of my border strip, and I'll grab my trimmer and we'll get that to work, don't you worry. So first I want to cut this where the die has the score line. We're going to use this to make our gift card holder inside. And now I'm going to cut away, it looks like about 1/8 of an inch where I have those bottom lines. We can save it, you guys. We can do it. And then I'm going to cut off about, looks like about 5/8 off of that. And we'll get rid of this part. And see if we can get this to look good. Now we'll go back and ink my little edges to match everything else, even on this little guy. Okay, so this is going to go down here, and nobody but needs to know but you and me. It's our little secret. Whoever gets this card will never know that this happened. So we don't care. They are out mowing the the lawn out here. There's kids by the pool. It's always when I want to shoot a video. Okay. All right, that goes there. Lovely. And then this guy. All right. Whew, we did it. Okay, now we'll go back to our little heart element here. And this guy is going to go right up here. And I do not have adhesive on the back, so we'll get that now. All right, and then I die cut the heart again because this little guy comes out of the middle. So I used it from Spot On, the little paper that has all the little spots on it. And I'm going to pop that right back in there. That's pretty cute. Okay, and then our big sticker will go right in the middle. And then I die cut the word thanks. And here again, if you don't want all the polka dots, I like them in this case, so I'm not going to do the black on here. You can always go over that with black ink. So this time I've run this through my little Xyron sticker maker. Gently peel that off. And if you get these little webby things of glue in between, I just use a piercing tool before I stick it down so it doesn't get all over my card. And I just kind of pick away at those little webs. You can always tap at it with a, like a kneaded eraser, they call it. But I find that this works pretty well. Okay, so now I think I'll just pop that right up there in that open space. And that looks pretty cute. Another thing you can do, if this still feels a little tacky, is you can get one of those little talc pads and kind of pounce it on there. That'll take up any of that other sticky stuff. Now, one last thing I want to do on the front of this card is I'm going to add these 2 chipboard circles. My other card had stickers, 2 stickers on the outside edges there, and the little photo corner stickers. But this time I'm just going to do these 2 chipboard circles. I've already sanded them a little bit and inked the edges. I think I'll have them go off a little bit. The great thing about using the B sides a lot of times of the papers that have a strong theme to them, like this one in particular, is you can just use the B side and it's just a fun patterned birthday card now, or thank you card in this case. So it's going to say thanks and then friend on the inside. All right, here's another little trick. When you need something a little smaller than what you actually have in the paper collection, remember how we did it before in our other cards. So I selected this Rockabye Baby cut apart from, which sheet does this come from? This comes from Little Boy Blue. So it's a little bit too big. And so what I did is I don't need the Rockabye Baby part, so I cut that away, as you can see, right out of this frame. I cut that away. I just kind of bluntly cut this off. This would normally be like this. And I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to adhere it right over the top and make a smaller little square out of it. Down here especially, where it's going to overlap. Okay. And then we're just going to make sure that we don't have any gap between here and here. And I like using my little table mat, my cutting mat here, to help me square things up. Okay, so that's one of those little details, like if you're really looking for it, you're gonna see it, but I mean, it looks pretty good, right? Okay, so we're gonna put that on the inside with the word friend at the top. And we have to make our little gift card holder. If you remember, over here, we have this little pocket. So we're going to do that again, and this is how we do that. You do have to get your little scoreboard, which I didn't mention in the supplies, but I think a lot of us have that. So let's grab that. And we're going to put it into the scoreboard with the little notch opening at the top, just like that. And you want to come over from the left edge 1 5/8. Score down there. And then you're going to move over to 3 7/8. And then we're going to turn it so the opening is over here on the right, and this is flush on the left, and we're going to score it down here at 1/2 of an inch. Super easy. Okay, so now we're going to fold on those lines. Okay, and so now we have this little cute little pocket, but before you get to committing, make sure your little gift card fits in there. All right, and I am going to cut away, just to reduce some of the bulk, I'm going to cut away this bottom right flap and the bottom left flap. I am cutting a little bit of an angle on both of these, just very slight. Okay, and just so we don't hit this flap when we're trying to put our gift card in, we are going to fold this up last. So all we need to do is get some adhesive on this part. And you're not going to see any of this backside at all because it's going to get glued right into your card. Come on. Okay. Just enough to get the job done. Okay, and look at how cute, right? So I can go in there. I see my words are upside down, but I don't care too much. When I die cut this paper, I probably wasn't thinking that I was making a gift card holder. Okay, so we're going to put this over here, we're going to put this under here, and we're going to put our word friend, so let's do all that real quick. Okay. All right. Cute. And then our gift card holder. This, of course, is optional. If you don't want to send a thank you gift card, you don't have to, and you can eliminate this part of it. This is also great to do a little overlap on that part that we pieced together. Kind of camouflages that one. And if you're really worried about this one, you can always put a little fussy cut flower or a little sticker or chipboard. Okay, so there goes our little gift card. Great. So now we have 2 Mother Goose cards. Very cute. And now we move on to the mini album. Let's take a little closer look at this finished mini album before we start our second one. Again, it will be using a slightly different paper, so you can kind of compare and see how you can make both. So the idea is that all these file folders are cut to make the pages and adhered in such a way that they have these side loading pockets. Okay, the pockets don't have anything in them now. The pages are very simply done, but that's where you can enjoy playing around with the sticker sheets and the chipboard collection and more papers and fussy cuts to make it all your own. Very unique album. Okay, so now that you understand how this goes, we'll see what we have to do to make it. And by the way, if you wanted to, you could take some of the leftover cut aparts, such as these, and you could fold those in half. And those could be something that you might want to stick in here with a little extra journaling in there, or maybe even 2 more photos in there. Whatever you like, you have all these extras to work with in there, and you can do that with these postcards as well. Okay, so what we do is we cut the file folder die. Pick your favorite for the cover, and as you know now, I love this one. So you need to keep in mind that your cover is going to be one that has this tab of the file folder on the right, okay? And there is a direction to this paper. There's little words in there, so just be mindful of that for your cover paper. So you'll need one for your cover, and then you'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole ones, and then you're going to cut a little half piece, which we'll get to that at the end. Okay, so you just decide which ones you like, what order you want them to go in, but just so you have an idea of what we're going to do so you can plan your pieces, is this is going to get glued right on top of this one. So you want to make sure your little colors kind of coordinate. I like that. Great. And then the next page will open up and you'll decide on what paper to use next. So every time you go to a new page, you want to make sure that your choice of that particular paper has the tab on the right. Okay, so there's that one is going to look like that, and it will open this way and so forth. All right, we got our little Humpty Dumpty guy and this one, and then this will be here, and then this will be my last page, and we're gonna cut this away. We'll get to it. Okay, so let's get started gluing. So because these are side-loading pocket pages, of course we don't want to put glue all over the whole back side of this. So we are going to just take our liquid glue is preferred, because as we know, if you use a tape runner, it doesn't dry, it stays tacky. And if you were to stick anything into that pocket later, it doesn't matter how much later, it is going to get stuck in there. So I am lining up this left edge, watching the top and the bottom, and squaring that up the best that I can, and just press. And you saw I didn't use a whole lot of glue. And there's our first page. And this is open, and there's our next page. So keeping these in order, I'm going to continue the process. Each time I add a new one, I square it up. And if you're concerned at all about this left edge, not to worry, we are going to put a spine on there, so that will get all covered up and look very finished and nice. Okay, next one, same thing. This whole side-loading pocket thing is very optional. If you just want it to look like a file folder and not actually have a pocket to it, you could just adhere the whole thing down. That's the beauty of it. It's completely your option. Okay, now let's just give it a little glance. Let's check it out. So far, so good. Everything looks great. Yep. Okay. So you can see every time I move on to a new page, I pick up the album that I've been building on first. That's the part that gets the glue. And we always press down on the next page in the album. Okay, looking good. Getting down to the end here. I just keep squaring it up best I can. Okay, now we've come down to this last guy. And then we have this little half piece that I was going to tell you about. So we are still going to glue this down. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this away. And you may look at this and say, oh, it's upside down, Annette, you messed up. But I knew that when I cut it, and I was cutting from scraps, and I knew it didn't matter because I was going to cover up this left side. So I'm going to cut this and get rid of this part. And this is going to be here. And we want to cover that up, and this is our back cover. So that's why we've cut one more, but we only cut just that top half with the tab. So I need to get this one on here just the same way we've been doing, because it's our very last side loading pocket. cute. And then this one, we are going to glue the whole thing right to it. Now I've been working very quickly. I can see that I'm a little bit off. They're not all flush, so you take your time when you do yours. You can get in here with a bone folder and really get this last paper burnished down well. Looks cute. All right, I'm very happy. Everything looks good. And our very last page looks like that. If you see a little bit of this, you can trim it or you can just ink that edge over. It doesn't bother me, so I'm going to leave it be. And now we're going to put on the spine. Okay, so the spine, we don't want to attach it on the actual outside edge of the spine. We just want to put the adhesive on the front and on the back and let this just kind of bend as it wants to without any glue holding it down. It definitely has a gap when you open it, which is what you want to see. It's sort of like a hollow back binding of a book. That would be a natural thing for a regular book. So that's what we're going to do. And so you cut a spine piece from any compatible paper. I think this is going to be beautiful on here. And so this is 1.5 by 5.5. And before you put it on there, you want to soften up the papers a little bit so that it has that natural bend and it's not fighting you. So what I do is I lay it on a soft mat. You can use, I don't have anything round laying around here, so I'm just going to use my bone folder. And you can use either side, but I'm just going to kind of soften up the paper fibers. And I know I'm shaking you like crazy, sorry. Soften up those fibers, and then I can kind of start to make a little bit of a curve in this spine. If you have, here's my Sharpie, you could start to roll it around the Sharpie a little bit just to get it thinking about being on a curve. Now I don't want to roll it. I just want to get that middle part thinking it's going to be curved. So that looks pretty good like that. Just a little bit of an arc to it will work just fine. Okay, so now we want to get it on here. And we're just going to kind of split the difference when we put it on here. We're not going to wrap it super tight close to the spine. So I'm only going to put adhesive on the first 1/2 inch over here, along this 1/2 inch edge. I like using the liquid glue for this as opposed to like a score tape or double-sided adhesive because I tend to have to slide it into place and I just can't do that with a dry glue. Okay, so I'm looking at my ruler on my table. Take a peek, make sure it's straight. Looks pretty good. And I'll press that down, and then when I come around to this other side, I will do the same. About 1/2 inch. And when I bring it around, I'm bringing it close, but I know that I'm going to be putting some things in this album and it's going to fill it out a little bit, so I'll show you when I pick it up. Okay, so there is a little bit of room in there. Can you see that? Definitely need that little bit of room. Make sure that's on there really well before we handle it too much. Looks good. And it has that nice gap to it, like it should. Perfect. The cover of this album, I am going to use a big circle sticker, and I have this Mother Goose chipboard tag. I have a little more of that black twine tied in there. Again, you could use ribbon or string, whatever you have. Nothing fancy. And I'm going to put this down here. If you remember, the other cover was like this. We have a little sticker down here. This is chipboard and a couple more chipboard pieces. And I had a couple more of those chipboard pieces, so I'm going to put those up in the top like my other one. I think I will go here and here. Yeah. So once again, liquid glue. this cute little 5-cent circle right up here. I'm sticky, so it's sticking to me. There we go. Okay, isn't that sweet? Oh, it's so cute. So the only thing we have to do now is add in some photo mats, totally optional, and these cut-aparts, which I did on all the pages in here. So on the inside of my second album here, I'm just going to switch up the papers, but I still use these great cut-aparts. And when I ran out, I just did some cuts from other papers. So the photo mats measure 3 by 4, and I have used, this is Sunshine Stripe. This is the back of it with the little black and white polka dots, which I love. So those are going to be all my photo mats. So those will all go here. And then these have been cut down from 4 by 6 cards to roughly, I think it's just a little more than 3 by 5. Yeah, it's almost 3 1/8, almost 5 1/8. So I did that one, Humpty Dumpty, I did Little Boy Blue, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and Bedtime Story. And then I ran out, so I went to the signature page, Mother Goose, and just cut the same size, about 3 by 5 from these as little cute accent pieces. So I will adhere these in here and all these on the right, and I will be right back to show you how it looks finished. All right, I've got all my papers inside, my little photo mats, and my cut-aparts. The album is super cute and ready for some photos and some things in the side pockets if you wish. So we have 2 little mini albums with Mother Goose. We have our 2 file folder cards with Safari Adventure, and then the 2 big festive 5 by 7 cards with Mother Goose again. So you guys, I had a great time using Graphic 45's folder and sentiment die set. I hope you run out and get you this set and some fun papers to play with. Of course, you can always get Graphic 45 products at G45papers.com or from your local scrapbook store. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.